Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today is a review on the Chanel Longwear Concealer in the shade 20 Beige, and I'm going to apply it in front of the camera. I'm going to do a midday check-in, and then I'm going to give you my final thoughts at the end of the day. So if you're interested in hearing more about this concealer, then just stay tuned. So I recently purchased this Chanel concealer, and they had a huge display of it, and I was under the impression that it was like a brand new concealer from Chanel. So I was so excited, I ran over, I picked up my shade, again, which is 20 Beige, the same that I use for the foundations in Chanel, and I don't think it's new. I'm so stupid. So I don't think it's new. I did purchase a limited edition new blush from them, so maybe I got it kind of mixed up in my head. I'm always on the lookout for a good concealer anyway, so I don't mind having purchased this and testing it out. So it was $43, and I think I purchased this in Macy's. I definitely purchased this in a department store at the counter. I went to a bunch that day. I believe it was Macy's. Anyway, it was $43, and it comes in a tube like so, very typical doe foot applicator. And as I normally do in my kind of first day wear test, I will show you the application, and then I will do a check-in midday, and then I will check in at the end of the day and give you my final thoughts. So let's get into the application right now. Hey guys, I've put some primer and foundation on to a clean face, obviously. So I'm ready to go in with the Chanel Longwear Concealer. And again, I have it in the shade Beige 20. So it is doe foot applicator, and I'm just going to use it as I would normally use any of my concealers. So I'm just going to swipe underneath my eyes here. So on this side, I'm going to try my fingers first. So compared to my my beloved By Terry Terribly Denseless concealer, I can tell already that this has higher coverage and it feels a little bit thicker. I think the shade match is very close to my skin color. 20 Beige is the one that I use for Chanel foundations generally. So if you want more of a highlighting effect, I think they do have color correcting versions of this, but you can always go down a shade. Well, I really like how that blended in with my finger. On this side, I'm going to try the brush that I always use, which is the Armani foundation brush. And I like to just press that in. So I don't really sweep or anything. I just press it in. And then if I see any sort of edges where I see the concealer ending, that's where I'll blend it in. I definitely got a fuller coverage with the finger. Obviously my finger is not going to soak up as much product as a brush or a sponge, even for that matter. Again, this seems like a very good match for my skin, so what I'm going to do is just use it around my nose to conceal up some of this redness that I have, and I have some kind of like blotches here. They're like sunspots and some hyperpigmentation. And I'm just going to use my finger to blend in because I want a bit of a higher coverage, especially for these spots and blotchy areas. Alright, so all of those spots are blended in. My initial reaction is I really like the coverage that this concealer gives. I don't think it's super high coverage, which I tend to think looks very, very cakey unless you have like a super high foundation on as well. I like that this gives kind of like a medium coverage for concealer, and it is, again, it's a little bit thicker than something like my serum concealer, the By Terry one, but this is, it doesn't actually feel heavy on my skin. It just felt a little bit thicker as I was blending it in. But I do like how it kind of eradicated any sort of miscoloring that I have. I have a lot over here on the outer corners here. It's dampened that quite a bit. I also feel like it doesn't look very dry, which is, my main concern. I think most women's concern, anyone at any age. You just don't want your under eyes to look dry. And I don't think that this does that. At least not yet. So what I'll do now is just put on the rest of my makeup. I will use a little bit of the La Mer Sheer Press Powder to set my under eyes because I'm still playing around with that. And do the rest of my makeup. So I will be right back. Hey guys, I've finished off the rest of my makeup, and I've actually put some of the new La Mer the sheer pressed powder on top of my concealer like I mentioned I was going to, because I'm still testing out that powder, and I am really liking the way this looks. I think it looks pretty flawless. So just want to mention that I'm still playing with the Mothership palettes. This is number 2, Sublime, on my eyes. I am loving them. So anyway, stay tuned for dedicated video to those palettes. But in terms of this concealer, so far I'm liking it. It's about 8:30 in the morning now. I put it on, say, around 8 o'clock. So I'll be back midday to give you a check-in, and then towards the end of the day for like my final thoughts, wrap up, and see where we are with the concealer at that point. So I will be right back. Hey guys, I thought I would do a vlog style check-in. I went out, ran an errand. I am back. I'm back in my room and I'm standing in front of my window that has the most sunlight at the moment. So let's do a close-up. Welcome to my face. So I am really loving this concealer under my eyes. I think it has really held up well so far. I think also around my nose, I'm not seeing any of the redness sort of peek through, so I'm really happy about that. Again, I use the La Mer sheer press powder over it, so it could be a combination of that and this concealer. I'm really loving it. Oh, I think I forgot to mention, it's about 1:15 in the afternoon, so I've had this on since 8 o'clock, so it's been about 5 hours and 15 minutes. It's actually a really nice day here in Vegas, so I can't say that I've been especially sweaty or anything. It's actually really breezy. It's only about 72 degrees. It's actually really picture perfect today. So it's not a great sweat test, but yeah, but I'm really loving it. So I'll be back tonight somewhere between 5 and 6 and give you a final check-in and give you my final thoughts. But so far, so good. Hey guys, it's about 4:30 in the afternoon. I thought I would actually film this wrap up a little bit earlier than planned because I'm realizing at that weird time of day, the light comes in at a strange angle and then it gets really shadowy and it's actually not very helpful. So anyway, it is about 4:30. I've had this on since about 8 or 8:30, now I can't remember. But that means it's been about 8.5 hours, and I am super impressed with how this concealer still looks under my eyes. It essentially looks the same, I feel like, as when I put it on this morning. So I don't feel like it has emphasized any dry lines. I don't feel like it's faded in the least bit. Let me zoom you in so you guys can take a closer look. So here we are zoomed in. I haven't done any touching up. I've done this a couple of times today because my black shadow liner has kind of, you know, crumbled a little bit. So I've swept that away. If anything, I feel like that would have removed some of the concealer, but it really has stayed put. I'm really super impressed, and it hasn't caked up, it hasn't dried up, it hasn't really kind of, I don't know, given my under eyes any sort of texture. I am really impressed. I'm also impressed with the coverage around my nose. I have a lot of redness around my nose, especially down here along these nostrils. I have allergies this time of year, so I've been kind of wiping my nose all day. I haven't been like full on blowing my nose, but I've been wiping my nose with a tissue all day, and I don't feel like it's really disintegrated the concealer at all. Again, I'm super duper impressed with this concealer, but let me zoom you back out and we'll wrap this up. So all in all, I really love this concealer. Some of the claims that Chanel makes is that it's long wear, which I agree with, that it is buildable, has light to medium coverage, which I also agree with. It states that it has like a gel-based texture. I don't know really what that means, except that I know when I was blending it in, it did blend in really easily. It was very nice going on. It had a smooth, creamy texture, but it didn't feel like silicone-y. It didn't feel like too slippery or too slick. So yeah, I really like this concealer, and if it continues to perform as well as it did today over the next couple of weeks, you will definitely see it in my October favorites. And if it does continue to perform really well, I think I'm going to be saying Adios to my By Terry Terribly Denseless concealer. Not that I don't love that concealer, not that I would not repurchase that concealer, but I've had that one tube of concealer for a really long time and I still have not finished it. So I think it's just time for me to say goodbye to it, to let it go. And I think I have found a really suitable replacement. So I'm really excited for this. If you guys have tried this concealer, let me know down below what your experience was, if you had as good of an experience with it as I have. If you have any questions about this concealer, please don't hesitate to ask down below as well. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video.